What's up, everyone? This is Brian Aragon. I'm a professional rollerblader from San Diego, California, and today I'm going to be talking to you about skating backwards. Skating backwards may seem like a very simple thing, but it's one of the most important things when you're aggressive inline skating. Most of your tricks are going to be done going forwards, but once you start getting into the upper levels of skating, you're going to be using going backwards a lot more to your advantage, whether it's grinding, whether it's going over launch ramps. You're going to need to utilize both directions, forward and backwards. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. So the first thing to do when anybody starts skating backwards is they think that your feet are just going to be directly facing backwards, like parallel, which is not the case at all. The first thing you always need to remember is whatever your shoulder you choose to look over, and it can be whatever one. Some people throw with their right arm, some people throw with their left arm. So you basically do whatever feels comfortable. So for me, my dominant shoulder is my left shoulder to look over. So not only are you going to look over your left shoulder, but your left leg is going to be staggered a little bit from your right. And what this does, it allows you just to cover a little more surface area, so you're not just parallel covering a smaller distance. So when you do that, you just open up your shoulders a little bit more. You can see further behind you, and you also have more stability. So that's the right thing to do. And so I guess the next point is basically showing you how you would roll. And like I said, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to stagger your feet and you're going to look over your dominant shoulder. And you also want to have your knees bent a little bit, obviously, which is one of the main parts. So I'm going to start here and just roll across. As you see, I'm looking over my left shoulder with knees slightly bent, and I have my shoulders open to the direction I'm going so I can see everything behind me. Okay, so there's many mistakes associated with skating backwards, and many of the things that I see, even pros, they don't stagger their feet when they're skating backwards, so you lose a lot of surface area when you do that. So the main thing is you always want to remember to have one foot staggered. When you're skating backwards like this, you'll see this happen a lot where people aren't staggered and they look like they're almost struggling to see where they're going and just a little off balance. So instead of being like this where you don't really know, it just makes a lot more sense to open up your stance a little bit and give yourself the opportunity to see fully behind you, which is what you do when you stagger your stance. Another common mistake that most people make when they're skating backwards is they don't have their knees bent all the way, which is a major problem, especially when you start getting onto the ramps. You always want to have your knees bent a little bit, no matter what you're doing. When you're straight-legged, you put yourself in a great amount of danger, even when you're on the ramps, especially when you're on the ramps. So what you want to do is you always want to feel in control, just like if you're getting ready to jump. You want to be secure, your feet about shoulder width apart, staggered, and looking over your shoulder. So skating backwards is very essential to my skating or any other professional skating. So every time I get to the park, I warm up, do my stretches, do everything, but skating backwards is one of the key components that you have to have. So when I'm in a park warming up, usually it's dedicated half and half, skating forwards, skating backwards. Right now I'm going to show you basically a good way to start practicing on the flat ground and moving on up onto a bank ramp, dropping in fakie. So I'm just going to show you right now. The tips I said: have your knees bent, your legs open, and looking over your shoulder, which is basically what I'm doing here. And then I'll get up here and just drop in fake. Okay, so just as I was saying before, you're dealing with a slight grade here, so it's a little different than just doing it on the flat ground. But all the same steps are required to do this. So first I'm going to stagger my feet, open up my shoulders, and keep my knees bent, especially because now you're dealing with a bank to a flat. So you're going to need to have a little absorption rather than just be straight leg and pop out. So basically what you do to drop in fakie, you're going to jump, open up your legs, and open up your shoulders. Though this seems like a really simple step in rollerblading, it's very important no matter what level you're skating at. And it's important to practice it every day, because if you're not practicing it every day, you're losing that. And please remember those steps. The first one is stagger your feet a little bit, keep your knees at a comfortable bend, feet shoulder width apart, and you want to open your shoulders so you can see everything behind you. And this is Brian Aragon signing off with How to Skate Backwards.